have a 20K a month hairstylist business as a salon owner, and when I started, I was barely able to cover the rent on my chair or overhead expenses. 7 years later, I've made over $1 million in the salon industry, and I've helped hundreds of hairstylists double their revenue, work less hours, and love their job again too. I'll be real with you, it was not always easy, but there were 6 key shifts that changed everything. So in this video, I'm gonna share the exact blueprint that I teach inside my program to help stylists double their revenue while transforming how they work, how they're seen, and how they charge, including number 1, the elevated salon business model that delivers premium client transformations and stops leaving you exhausted. Number 2, how I increase my daily cash so simply without losing loyal clients. And number 3, the number 1 mistake that keeps stylists stuck in survival mode even when they're fully booked. So let's get started with how I went from burned out and barely paying my booth rent to earning an average of 20K a month. And I'm quite sure that any hairstylist can do this. I spent my first 7 years as a hairstylist barely scraping by. I thought that the only way to earn more was to get more accolades. Things like celebrity clients, Fashion Week gigs, endless certifications. I believed that those accolades would finally make me feel qualified enough to raise my prices. But despite all that hustle, I was still working 12-hour days and struggling to pay my bills, and it wasn't glamorous, it sucked. My day of reckoning came in 2015 when I got divorced. I'd been relying on my husband's income to get by, and suddenly it was all on me. I didn't have time to chase another certification or feel ready. I had to figure it on my own now. And here's the truth, the moment that I stopped believing that I needed more credentials in order to earn more, everything shifted. I changed how I priced, positioned, and sold my services, and I started earning more immediately. And that's when I realized you don't need more training, you need a strategy. Years later, I now teach this exact system to other hairstylists, and they're making more in less time too, which brings me to the second part of the blueprint. Because I didn't have a mentor at the time, I chose to follow the proven method that I saw DryBar using. And all of you know DryBar. When Allie Webb started out in 2009, she was going home to her clients giving blowouts when she wasn't working in a salon. She kept getting bookings for months, and that's when she realized there was a real niche for women who wanted to look polished and put together without doing it all on their own. So she created an entire business around styling, and it's now a $100 million company. To make it enticing, easy, and profitable, she designed a menu with 6 to 8 blow dry packages where everything is priced by time. Because there's only a handful of options, it's very easy for customers to select what they want. They can book online, and because everything's priced on time, she made money consistently each and every day. So using that information, I copied that system. I reverse engineered what I wanted to make per month, divided that by how many days per month I was working, and then that number gave me the revenue goal I had to hit each day. I then divided that number by 8 because I realized that was the number of hours that I could work each day, and that gave me my hourly rate. Now, I know what you're thinking. How am I gonna start raising my prices in my salon business so fast without losing all of my clients? Well, let me show you exactly what I did, which brings me to the third part of the blueprint. We've all been to McDonald's, though if you're like me and you're no longer in your 20s, you're probably not scarfing down Big Macs, but we all remember the super size me question that every cashier asks us when we complete our order. And it's brilliant because it's a way to get customers who are already there buying something to get them to buy more. So you want to look at your salon business and figure out what can you supersize your existing customers with. And it could be so many things. For example, I work with a bridal stylist who also offers waxing services. I myself chose to double down on wellness and healing with my customers. I worked with an extension specialist who does scalp facials. I even worked with a hairstylist who offers psychic medium services. Seriously, the list is endless on things that you can supersize your existing customers with on services. Now, I know you might be wondering, how am I gonna get clients for these kinds of services and make it make sense for them to buy from me? Which brings me to the fourth point in the blueprint. Do you remember the Dove Real Beauty campaign, the one where they showed women of all shapes, sizes, and ages, no airbrushing, no filters, just real bodies? That campaign revolutionized beauty marketing because Dove wasn't saying our soap is the best. They were saying you are beautiful just as you are. And guess what? Their sales went up by over 1 billion. Why? Because people felt seen. They felt connected. They weren't expecting perfection. And that's what I learned as a hairstylist. Clients weren't booking because I had the most perfectly polished haircut photos on Instagram. They booked because they connected with me, my vibe, my voice, and my values. People buy from people that they like and trust, not the most qualified or perfect, but the most real. And so I want you to think of your salon business in the same way, and why it's so important to build a brand, not just a scrapbook of haircuts when you're marketing your services to people. And now you're probably asking yourself, how am I going to find these high-paying customers? Which leads me to the fifth part of the blueprint. I want you to start thinking of your business like a luxury drive-through car wash. You make a small investment, pull in, and without lifting a finger, everything gets handled for you. Fast, efficient, and done right. That's the kind of ease you can create in your salon business while attracting premium clients. And no, it's not about becoming a content robot or hopping on every TikTok dance. It's about building your brand with intention using smart strategies. Paid ads, a polished website, an email list that nurtures, and glowing reviews on Google My Business. I get it. It might sound techy or intimidating, but even if you're not super tech savvy, what most stylists don't realize is they wait way too long to implement this. Then they wonder, why is the growth so slow? The real shift happens when you lean into sales strategy and you let AI give you a leg up. For instance, I can run a few Google ads or boost a reel one time, or just get my Google profile and website set up, and those keep working for me behind the scenes for months. Sure, I'm paying money on ads, but it's like paying for the premium car wash. You pay a little bit, there's less hustle, and it frees me up to focus on other parts of the business that I love. Here's what paid ads have helped me to do with my business. They instantly build trust and credibility. They bring more eyes to my website, Instagram, and Google page, strengthening my brand. They allow me to reach my dream client in my local area. They help me grow faster. They expand my visibility super fast. They give me real data to understand what's actually clicking in my business. I've shown brand new stylists how to use ads to bring in 10 new clients a month and generate an extra 3K. And let's be real, that would have taken way longer if they were only relying on the Instagram algorithm. Now, you might be wondering, where do I even start if I want to grow faster? And I recommend that you start simple. You can use a Canva template to build a clean, beautiful starter website. If you haven't already, just search how to set up my Google business profile. It is a quick win. And for ads, start with as little as $5 a day to test the waters. Boost a reel or an image post and start tracking the results. We begin small to gather feedback. What do people click on? What speaks to them? And when that's clear, you can increase your budget and see your ROI grow. My advice is always master the foundational 4 steps before you pour money into paid ads or hire a designer. Once some steady profit is flowing in, that's the time to invest in leveling things up. This way, you're not glued to Instagram 24/7. You're building something that is totally sustainable and scalable. I totally understand if this all feels new, but I promise it is much simpler than you think. And the payoff, more clients, faster growth, and a business that supports your long-term vision. Listen, when I got into this phase and started training a team in my salon, it was a total game changer to delegate some of this instead of trying to YouTube my way through it all. Okay, now let's move on to the 6th part of the blueprint, and honestly, it's the most powerful one yet. While strategy and content absolutely have their place, they're not what created long-term fulfillment and success for me. What actually shifted everything for me was my mindset, and that mindset was deeply influenced by the energy of the people that I surround myself with. And I noticed this early on, back when I was deep into books like The Secret or You're Badass at Making Money. I loved the inspiration, but I kept hitting a wall in my business. It was like something wasn't clicking, and eventually I realized information wasn't enough. I needed to immerse myself in the environment of people who were dreaming big like I was and actually achieving it. Because if you're constantly around people who have zero desire to reach 6 or 7 figures, the chances are you're not going to stretch into that level either. You probably heard that your income tends to mirror the 5 people you spend the most time with, and it's true. Energy, mindset, and belief systems are contagious. That's why it's so important to intentionally get around ambitious, driven people and to stay close to mentors who are ahead of you financially and energetically. When you spend time in their world, you start to rise to that level. You begin adopting their habits, seeing the roadblocks before they hit, and stretching your vision beyond what you thought was possible. Because let's be honest, you might not be thinking as big as you could be. And the reverse is also true. When you surround yourself with people who have no goals, no vision, and no plan, their energy starts to rub off too. You begin to mirror their mindset, even if it's subconscious. Over the past 7 years, I've invested over $100K in mentorships, coaching, and masterminds. And those investments didn't just grow my revenue, they changed me from the inside out. What I've gained is invaluable, fresh insights I never would have seen on my own, accountability that actually moves the needle, and quick clarity from someone who's already walked the path that I'm on. And maybe even more important, the emotional support. Because let's be real, building a business can feel lonely, especially when you're doing something most people do not have the courage to do. By the way, if you want to plug into a free community of powerful, like-minded hairstylists, make sure to click the link in the description below. You will get access to that group along with free workshops to help you get started right away. How incredible is it that a salon business doesn't have to be cookie cutter anymore, and it doesn't require you to burn yourself out working 12-hour days and double booking, and you can start today. Now you know my 6-point blueprint for how to get started in your hairstyling business and package it to monetize quickly, but you must watch out for the common things that prevent us from having fast profits, and I share that all in this video, how to uncover your money blocks.